Diddy could be facing life in prison over his Rico charge alone. This is the most important part that a lot of people have to understand when it comes to Diddy and all of his charges. The Rico charge, the racketeering conspiracy charge, is one of the charges that Diddy really has to be concerned about. And that is because the feds only have to prove two of the allegations that fall under the racketeering conspiracy charge, also known as RICO. All of the crimes that are falling under this racketeering conspiracy charge is coercion, trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. And if the jury decide that the government was able to prove at least two of these allegations that fall under this racketeering conspiracy charge, Diddy is guilty of the RICO charge. I talked about it the other day that a lot of people tend to forget how big the racketeering conspiracy charge is, and a lot of people are just focused on the trafficking charges. Now we have to remember this RICO charge is only one of the charges that Diddy is being charged with. He is being charged with 5 different charges in total. As you guys know, I am not a lawyer. I do not have a law degree or anything like this, but I have been learning as I go, and I research everything when it comes to Diddy's case. So I was talking about how important this racketeering charge was going to come into play during Diddy's trial. And today, my mutual and an amazing lawyer and the owner of the Kent law firm gave me a shout out, and he broke it down how Diddy is facing life in prison if he is found guilty of this racketeering conspiracy charge. And I want you guys all to hear this.
Shout out to Kadisha Lynn. Follow her on social media. She had a post last night that was talking, which is actually really important, that people are tending to forget. Everybody's forgetting about Dre. Everybody's forgetting about the RICO charge that Diddy is looking at. This trial is coming up fast and furious, and we keep talking about the sexual assaults and things of that nature, and the fact that the government may have trouble because they may not be able to prove coercion. That's the least of dude's concern. We tend to forget that the RICO, the Uncle Rico charge, is the scariest thing that he's looking at. RICO, the Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organization Act. Now, to understand what he is looking at on RICO, we have talked about this before. First, you have to understand the federal sentencing guideline chart. Put it up. Boom. This chart. So as you're looking at this chart, you can see there's a bunch of numbers. On the left side of the chart is if you have no criminal record. Let's assume Sean Combs has no criminal record at this point in time. He's on the left side of the chart. You start out with RICO. As you look at RICO, RICO starts with a level 19, a base offense level of 19. So that's where he starts at RICO. You're like, that's not that bad. You look at 19. And these are in terms of months of how much time somebody's looking at. However, to prove RICO, you must prove what are called 2 predicate offenses, at least 2 predicate offenses. The federal government has said that Diddy has been involved in bribery, witness intimidation, sexual assault, arson, kidnapping. So let's just take the arson and kidnapping and say that they'll be able to prove those. And I think those are going to be the easiest 2 to prove. And let's start with the kidnapping. We've talked about that before. The base offense level of kidnapping is level 32. If you read the RICO statute, here it is up here, it says you take which one will give you the higher penalty. So we start at the kidnapping level 32. You're like, okay, that's not that bad. It's much higher than 19. Well, you don't stop there. If somebody is sexually assaulted in the kidnapping, you go up 6 levels. If a weapon has been used, you go up 2 levels. If somebody is hurt or injured, you go up 2 levels. If you start reading this and understand these levels and you go and track the federal indictment, you start and look at the enterprise letter that they sent, don't forget that one that they're talking about, that Cassie was trying to get away from Diddy, and in trying to get away from Diddy, she ran out to California. When she ran out to California, a gun was used. Somebody was kidnapping. What is kidnapping? Kidnapping is like simply having a Matt Lauer button. Somebody comes in my room and tries to leave. Oh, I can't get out. I can't get out. That's not for kidnapping. Holding somebody against the wall. Just don't you leave me. Anything you touch, Harpo, you don't let somebody leave. That's kidnapping. And then arson is burning somebody's shit you don't have a right to do. So they'll be able, I think, to prove those ones very easily. And if you look at all the facts, they track those kidnapping. And so we talked about the levels. 32, you go down 6 levels, somebody's sexually assaulted. 6, 7, 8, 38, a weapon is used. God, they seem to say a weapon is used. 39, 40, somebody is hurt or injured. 41, 42. And then there's something called the role enhancement. If you are the leader, if you are the Tony Soprano of this RICO organization, I can throw that over those mountains over there. If you are the leader of that organization, you get an additional 4th level role enhancement. The chart only goes down so far. And so, again, shout out to Khadijah. She made it clear to notice that everybody's talking about the sexual assault, which is a problem. Do not get me wrong. And he has a potential defense that he can argue coercion. But even if he beats that and they can prove the arson and they can prove the kidnapping, they only know those two. And let's say they prove the arson and they prove the bribery, or the arson and the witness intimidation. You still go higher. On the arson, the base offense level is 20. That's where it starts. And then it goes up 2 levels. If something else has happened, you start with the sexual assault charges. The base offense level is 34. So you're seeing what he's looking at in all these things. And if you're looking at these terms in terms of months, how much time could Diddy face in jail if he is convicted? All of it. It's kind of hard out here for a pimp. Take that, take that, take that, take that, take that.
So it is very possible that Diddy could be spending life in prison if he is found guilty of that racketeering conspiracy charge. And he still has 4 other charges that will be tried. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.